What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another trade recap. It was an absolutely fantastic day in the markets. It's actually my biggest day of the year. I traded AMD towards the upside, textbook higher time frame setup, of course, with relative strength that we talked about in the pre-market game plan. But let's go over exactly my full thought process and what I was looking for coming into today, the executions, how I managed the position, and everything along the lines. So, as you can see, I'm up about $31,000. I'm still in the trade as we currently speak, still holding a trailer position left, looking for that higher time frame thesis. But AMD, absolutely fantastic trade. Here are my executions. As you can see, I took the 245 calls. I'll kind of break down my exact thought process potentially on the weekend here, just because I'm still in the trade. But I end up taking the AMD January 23rd, 245 calls. I end up taking 150 contracts. So this was one of my biggest positions of the year with that higher time frame thesis, and that's why this is also one of my biggest P&Ls of the year. So let's go over exactly the whole trade thought process and what I was looking for coming to market open. So first things first, what was I looking for coming into market open? Number one, what we have to mention here is that we had some news in the pre-market regarding regarding the tariffs, regarding right, Trump. He was speaking at the World Economic Forum, so that was very important coming to today. So that was the main thing. So as you can see right here, I wrote this a little bit earlier, but we ended up having a nice pop. We had some news coming to pre-market. So basically coming to market open, we mentioned QQQ 607, SPY 677. This was your previous day lows, but we had some news as I mentioned, and by that time, we're already above your previous day lows. So main watches for today, I mentioned, right, NVIDIA and Tesla. This was my game plan before we had the news events. But I mentioned here my favorite names for upside are semis, of course. AMD, MU, Intel, SNDK are all still holding up compared to the overall indices. So I talked about the semiconductors still maintaining strength here on the higher time frames. And if the market wants to bounce, what's going to happen? The semis are going to move higher. SMH, right? MU, right? AMD, NVIDIA, right? Intel, all these names are going to continue towards the upside. So this was my game plan coming into market open. Let's think about let's talk about the overall thesis. So as you can see right here for the Qs, we end up popping coming to market open. So we're fairly neutral coming into today, and we're just keeping out of the reaction above your 610.50. If we break underneath, we're looking for downside reclaim. We could be looking for upside. Right, SMH, still holding up compared to the overall markets. So right, higher lows are being built, SMH above previous day highs, continuation back towards the upside. So just based off this thesis, right, we're looking for semis continuation higher, right? AMD still looks really good, as you can see, holding up nicely, flat top break above your previous day highs continuation. MU, another one, potential continuation towards the upside just because the higher time frames bullish. Intel, flat top breaks. Hopefully some of you guys were able to capture Intel today above your 50-30 for continuation. Even SNDK, we talked about that previous day high retest. So coming into market open, why was I interested in AMD specifically? Because AMD, as you can see right here, coming into market open had relative strength, right? Overall markets was at your previous day lows and basically equilibrium. For AMD, this one's holding up very nicely. A lot of buyers stepped in yesterday. Last week, we had some news as well. So AMD's just been showing a lot of strength, right? Gap up with news last week. Every single dip has been bought up. Our main watch is AMD coming to market open. We also have this mini flat top. If you can break above, continuation towards the upside. So what was I looking for on AMD? Previous day high break and retest. As you can see right here, let me get rid of this and let's play out the tape. So as you can see here on AMD, we're going to end up getting that nice candle closure right off the bat. So now we're interested in this previous day high retest for continuation. So let's keep playing out the tape here. Let me actually just speed this up. You can go into the 1 second interval. Now we're looking for that previous day high retest, really right off that 239, which is this key level, as you can see right here. So we keep speeding up the tape here. We're waiting for that previous day high retest. Let me actually just speed this up here now. As you can see for AMD, we're looking for that previous day high retest. Waiting for that previous day high retest. And as you can see, this candle formation, no buyer stepped in. So we're looking for that previous day high retest. No buyer stepped in here. So now we're waiting for the reclaim, right? The reclaim setup still valid for continuation back towards upside. As I now speed up the tape, let's keep going, right? You can see multiple reactions right off your previous day highs, right? Reaction here, reaction here, reaction here. No candle closures. We're waiting for that candle close on the reclaim, 84% rule. Higher time frame still very much bullish. The whole thesis is still intact. So we're waiting for that reclaim. And bam, right there, 944. So as you can see right here, that 944 candle, we have now closed above your previous day highs. I'm not sure why it's not loading, but as you can see right here, 5-minute candle closing now back above your previous day highs. 1-minute candle close back above your previous day highs here now as well. So we still have that higher time frame thesis intact. We're still relatively strong compared to the overall markets. Now we're interested in AMD for continuation back towards upside. So we're waiting for a little bit more buyers to step in. This candle right here, 950, sorry, this 945 candle, this is where I enter in long, stops a break below. Now looking for continuation back towards the upside. Since this is the 84% rule, since we have higher time frames objectives here as well, what am I looking for targets? I'm looking for these old highs. So I have this high marked out. I have this high marked out. I have some other levels, which in this case was our high of day plus our key psychological level, which was our 245 strike price. So in this case, this is my overall thesis here on AMD. So as we play out the tape, let me actually just rewind this. So we get in on that 945 candle, looking for long positions towards upside. And as we play out the tape, it's actually happening very quickly. But as we play out the tape, you can see, look at how strong the price action is. As soon as we reclaim back above with the stop underneath, right, with that higher time frame thesis, only one down close candle, super solid push towards the upside. As for my scaling, scaled a little bit here. I think it was around like 10 to 15% on this high day pop, right? Since it is the 84% rule and I have a higher time frame thesis, right? Scaled a little bit more up and towards our 243, so kept scaling along the ways, and then one of my main targets was this 245. So as you can see, I'm just scaling on majority of these pops. When people talk about my scaling percentages, I scale on pops. So as you can see right here, this is my executions, right? Enter in 945, scaling on pops, right? Just exiting as markets are moving higher. Sold up into 10 o'clock, which was our key strike price, 245. You'd see the premiums move very nicely. They went from around $3. I think I had an average around like 330 on the contracts, up in towards 6. So within about 10 to 15 minutes, the contracts basically doubled, and then just kept on scaling on some more pops. And then you can see now where the market's at. Contracts 9. I think they went up to a high of like $11. But super solid trade here on AMD. As we keep playing out the tape, markets kind of bounce at this 9 EMA. I don't have this pulled up on the chart, but basically we bounced off the 9 EMA. We also had a key, I think it was a key level here on the higher time frames, 245. And we just end up continuing higher the rest of the day here with the markets. Of course, at this exact moment in time, you can see the SMH reclaim back above, which gave me more conviction. The QQQ was bouncing off the lows, but you can see exactly when markets broke back above this 945 candle. This is exactly when the SMH was basing above its high of day. So this gave me conviction that the markets wanted to move higher, plus higher time frames, plus relative strength. Everything was aligning today, right? I kind of talked about, actually, I haven't talked about it yet. In my next YouTube video, it's going to be talking about the direction, the location, and the execution. And this is exactly what I try and explain every single morning, right? And we've been spot on the semiconductors, right? With the markets, with the key levels that we're keeping an eye out for, right? We were able to avoid that first entry on AMD because there's no buyers right off that previous day highs. But on the reclaim, the thesis was very much still intact. We got that nice 5-minute candle closure, the 1-minute close above, perfect trade towards the upside. And now we're just holding trailers, right? Just maintaining above key levels, which are just our down close candles, right? As you can see right here, down close candles have marked out, and we're looking for our daily objectives, 248, and of course, other objectives, 253. So this was an absolutely fantastic trade. I know a lot of you guys caught this one, which was great to see, because this was textbook. This is exactly how I love to trade, right? Higher time frame thesis, nice break above this 249, and we just end up continuing higher towards the upside. So this was absolutely beautiful. I'll kind of break down, as I mentioned, a little bit more on one of the weekly recaps since I'm still in the trade. I'll go a little bit more in depth. But now with this being said, let's go on to the live session to show you guys exactly what I was looking for coming into market open. Hopefully you guys are finding these valuable. Of course, if you guys do have any questions as well, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys enjoy these, make sure to drop a like and sub as well. So this was the live session coming to today, as I mentioned, for the QQQ. I could potentially like turn on the volume to let you guys know, but I'll kind of explain it. As you can see right here, I talked about the SPY key level since we had the pop. Similar thing here on the QQQ. One of my main watches actually is AMD. Let's actually turn on the volume. Let me turn on this audio capture so you guys can hear exactly what I'm saying. Everyone is in the Zoom. Hold up one second. Yeah, Zoom should be good. There's people on Zoom. Okay, let's go on to my top watches coming into today. So the top watch that I have is going to be the Semi. So as you can see here, AMD. This is my top watch coming to today, holding up, really strong push yesterday, and now nice push up here in the pre-market. What I'll be looking for, break above your previous has continuation. So AMD, yeah, super solid push. We do have to be a little bit cautious right at this key level, but as I mentioned, we're either going to be waiting for the break above, retest continuation, or some sort of higher low to form for this continuation higher. But AMD, one of my top watches. Let's keep an eye out on your previous day highs. So as you can see right there on AMD, I talked about that being one of my main watch just because it's holding up compared to the overall markets. Let's keep an eye out on your previous day highs. As you keep playing out the tape, you can see AMD right off the bat. Within the first candle, AMD was already on our watch, and we're looking for that previous day high retest. I kind of already explained the thesis, but you can see AMD, right, coming back down and towards that previous day highs. No buyers stepped in. So now what we're essentially looking for is the reclaim, but you can see no candle close above your higher time frame point of interest. And as soon as we close above, right, as soon as we close above, now it's just waiting for buyers to step in to give me a little bit more confirmation towards the upside. So this is exactly what I was looking for. And as you can play out the tape, you can see enter into AMD, looking for continuation towards the upside. Kind of explain the overall thesis. I switched it on to the right-hand side here now. But AMD, all buyers stepped in. SMH above your 396, QQQ break above this 610, and as you can see, you already know how the rest plays out. But absolutely beautiful trade on AMD. Now we're just looking for trailers to now we're just looking for our position to maintain above this 242 for continuation towards the upside. And as it pushes up, right, 245, beautiful scales up into that 245. And then we had this key level, which we marked out, which was at 245 plus that 90 EMA for continuation. And then I ended up basically calling it a day early here, but absolutely fantastic trade on AMD, outlined perfectly. But yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys find these valuable. And with that being said, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.